Chapter 253 Strengthening the Star. Mo Fan couldn't help but give the little loach pendant a kiss. Owning a pendant and having it reach this kind of realm was way too amazing. It was far too exceptional. After he returned to his room, Mo Fan went inside it to affirm once more. It was indeed a soul essence, a minion-level soul essence. A minion-level soul was also relatively precious, because all the basic Stardust magic tools required them. When Mo Fan was pondering about how he could use the little loach pendant to earn big money in the future, he accidentally discovered an even bigger problem. It appeared that he was not able to extract the soul essence. Little loach pendant, don't tease me. If I can't take out the soul essence, then I can't bring it to auction. If I can't sell it, I won't have money. Mo Fan didn't know whether to cry or not. He had discovered gold, but was unable to extract it. In that sense, even if there was more gold, what was the point of it? Mo Fan studied it for a long time, and realized that he was unable to extract this condensed soul essence from the little loach pendant. If this was the case, then wouldn't the refined minion-level soul essence be just the same as a decoration? Could it be that he jumped the gun too fast? Mo Fan was a little unwilling as he continued to study the soul essence. He didn't eat breakfast. He used all of his time attempting to extract the gold that he had picked up from the street. Mo Fan used his intent to repeatedly attempt its removal. He eventually realized that this soul essence was not able to go anywhere else, other than inside his spiritual world. This kind of feeling was just like a spiritual imprint. It was like this soul essence had an imprint on it, and was firmly bound to him. The question is, what was the point of having this special soul inside his own spiritual world? After probing it for a long time, the bored Mo Fan decided to move the soul essence toward his lightning nebula. The lightning nebula was purple and had a spiral shape now, like a galaxy. It was extremely bright within the vast spiritual space. As Mo Fan watched the radiating soul essence being pulled in, he realized that this firefly-like radiance was involuntarily floating toward a lightning star. Just as Mo Fan was trying to discern what was going on, the lightning star suddenly began to emit a certain magnetic field, and it devoured the radiant soul essence completely. Shit, how could that thing be eaten? A soul essence was worth 3 to 5 million RMB. How could it eat it like that? It was outrageous. How could a normally very obedient star suddenly have such a change in attitude? It swallowed a soul essence, and even refused to spit it back out. This whole situation rendered Mo Fan completely dumbstruck. Originally, he was only experimenting. Who could have imagined that this soul essence would get devoured? And it was devoured by one of the stars that he used to form a magic star path. This situation had already exceeded Mo Fan's imagination. Mo Fan hastily found Mr. Chu Yuhao again and hoped to obtain some kind of explanation for all this from him. A star devouring a soul essence? The old teacher pushed his glasses while his face displayed a smile. Chu Yuhao was a person who liked it when his students asked him crazy questions. If he was able to answer them, that would show that he was an excellent scholar. The question Mo Fan asked was rather tricky. A lot of books didn't record these kinds of things. Fortunately, the old teacher had stumbled upon books that did, so he cleared his throat and began a long diatribe of things that had nothing to do with it. After that, he finally got to the actual question. You should already know that soul essence is a very good thing. It is able to provide a great assistance to a magician's cultivation. The greatest usage of a soul essence is creating a meditation magic tool. Whether it is a Stardust magic tool or a Nebula magic tool, they are all worth a lot. However, in the beginning, soul essences were not used in that way. Before people used necromancy to research Stardust energy or Nebula energy, soul essences were used for strengthening, Chu Yuhao explained. Strengthening? Strengthening what? Mo Fan immediately asked. You even have to ask this? Of course, it was used for strengthening the stars. Otherwise, why would a star devour a soul essence? Chu Yuhao HMPHED into his beard. It's capable of strengthening stars? Yes, before the invention of meditation magic tools, soul essences were being wasted in that manner. If it is able to strengthen a star, does that mean the magic spells formed from the stars would also get stronger? Mo Fan immediately asked. Naturally. If the star receives a boost, then the spells will also become stronger. Then, isn't that a good thing? Mo Fan felt a burst of joy. So the spells were able to obtain a boost, that was good news. Just like when casting the giant shadow spike beneath the Great Nyx Formation, a single great shadow spike had multiplied into 6 of them. It was able to completely nail the warrior-level cursed beast down, like a pinned butterfly. It even had an additional effect of penetrating its soul. The strengthening of a spell was actually extremely powerful. Chu Yuha shook his head and said, "I also said that it's a waste of resources." Why? Mo Fan was unable to understand that. A soul essence is extremely precious. If you were to go to an auction, you'd be able to understand just how much in demand those things are. No matter what level the soul essences are, the ones needed for manufacturing a stardust or a nebula magic tool are simply not in enough supply. Who would actually use those soul essences to strengthen their stars? Primary magic has a total of 7 stars, right? Only when you strengthen all 7 of those stars are you able to receive a certain upgrade. The problem is, other than the magician being stupid, they would definitely not want to strengthen their primary magic with a whole 7 soul essences, Chu Yuha said. After Mo Fan heard this, the expression on his face changed. It seems like he was that kind of stupid magician. Just 5 minutes earlier, his dazzling soul essence had been completely devoured by one of the lightning stars. That's why, even though the strengthening of magic stars does exist, it would need to use a soul essence which provides a great benefit to humanity. This kind of path of strengthening is very expensive. It is no different than using your money as firewood, Chu Yuha said. Mo Fan thought that over as he nodded. Shit! If the condensed soul essences within the little loach pendant could not be extracted and auctioned off, then he could only use them to strengthen his primary magic. A primary magic required 7 stars, and each of them needed to be fed a minion-level soul essence. Then all of that money would have been able to buy him a warrior-level soul essence. Furthermore, even if his spells were buffed, the effect probably wouldn't be too exaggerated. At the very least, it probably wouldn't reach the might of an intermediate magic. What Mr. Chu Yuhao said wasn't exactly wrong. As long as you're not stupid, then this is something you definitely wouldn't do. Let's continue to study it. If I really can't take it away, then I could only use them to strengthen the stars. At this time, Mo Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Using them to strengthen his stars, that was still better than having them decorate the space above the river. The crucial point was that he'd feel too vexed when he saw them. Chapter 254 Team Battle. There was another school having a mock battle with the Imperial College in the morning. In the afternoon, it would be Pearl Institute versus Imperial College. The mock battle this time was naturally the highlight. There would most likely be a crowd even before the battle arena had yet to open. Mo Fan had messed with the little loach pendant the whole night. The other people followed Ji Yu Han early in the morning to watch the battle with the other school. Mo Fan didn't go, heading back to his bed to get his long-deserved sleep. How else would he have the energy to fight against those arrogant people from the Imperial College? As Mo Fan was sleeping, the other students went to the battle arena. The arrangement of the battles was that all 6 universities would fight one another. There were universities from the north, south, east, and west of the country, all of them important in their own areas. However, the students of Imperial College weren't very concerned. The people they wanted to get rid of the most were those from Pearl Institute. In the morning, the feeling of competition quickly arose from the conversations the teams had. Luo Song and Shu Delong, whose personalities were rather direct, immediately began to pick a fight with one another. Luo Song, you're a pretty smart person. You didn't want to be the tail of a phoenix, so you ran off to become the head of a chicken. Thinking about it, that also makes sense. For someone like you, your strength would be at most average in Imperial College. It wouldn't even be your turn to fight. Shu Delong didn't even try to sugarcoat his words. Whatever he wanted to say was said. Mr. Ji Yu Han had a bad taste in his mouth as he looked on. Fuck off. You're a phoenix, while I'm a chicken? Shu Delong, don't be rude. Please allow me to apologize for him. Shu Delong is just a very direct person. Please pardon him, everyone. Lu Yiming hastily came out to resolve the conflict. Just being too direct. Does teacher Lu Yiming really think that? Ji Yu Han coldly HMPHED. Ji Yu Han was cold and short-fused. Being a graduate of Pearl Institute and a current teacher there, he had no reason whatsoever to lower himself just because the other party was the Imperial College. Lu Yiming awkwardly smiled as he hastily changed the subject. When I received you, I remember there were 9 students in total. How come there's only 8 of you today? Chu Yuha was a bit more kind-hearted. He quickly interrupted Ji Yu Han and said, The student didn't sleep properly last night, so he's sleeping right now. Ha ha ha. You don't actually need to feel that pressured. It's only a mock battle. How could you lose sleep over that? Lu Yiming started laughing. Quote. Chu Yuhao's face turned black. When they were being received yesterday, he thought that this Lu Yiming had some kind of problem. Today, after they had interacted, he felt like this person's mouth didn't have anything good coming out of it. Whether that guy comes or not doesn't really matter. We only need the few of us to deal with you guys. Shen Mingxiao immediately stood up, his eyes like a treasured sword as he gazed at the group of people from Imperial College. Is that right? You think showing off can get you anywhere? The elegant Liao Mingxuan smiled coldly. Who the hell are you talking about? Shen Mingxiao was immediately enraged. Alright, what's the point of verbally attacking each other? Use your strength to prove yourselves this afternoon. Ji Yuhan coldly interrupted. Yeah, let's use strength to prove yourselves. Lu Yiming maintained a hypocritical smile on his face, as he didn't really care if the students' relationships with each other had gone sour. What about Mo Fan? Just where the hell did he go? He woke up. However, he said he was going to meet some lover. He will come back in the afternoon, Zhao Manyan said with a straight face. Mo Fan had slept until the afternoon. Everyone else had already left, leaving him alone there. He dealt with lunch on his own. The Imperial College was quite large. The clearest differences between the two universities were trees that reached up to the skies, little paths through the forests that could be seen everywhere, and the style of the buildings were almost ancient in design. This was completely the opposite of Shanghai, that was developed according to modern times. That also made sense. There were many talented people at the Imperial College. Even the dirty gutters there were pervaded with a scholarly aura. You could even get a few famous names from them. No wonder the students from here were all incredibly arrogant. In this place, where experts were like clouds, a place derived reflected glory from an illustrious hero. A person who was modest could easily be interpreted as showing off. You might as well be a little confident and manifest the presence that you ought to have. He didn't know whether it was because he received an education from Chu Yuhao, or his own mood, but Mo Fan was in quite the mood to go sightseeing around the school. His heart sighed. All right, he was lost. With the help of a few helpful senior sisters, Mo Fan finally found his way to the battle arena. The battle arena was huge, very imposing, and the large white pillars outside of the place made him think of ancient Rome's great Colosseum. The battle arena's style was very different from what he knew. Furthermore, it seemed to be similar to Rome's Beast Colosseum with its circular form. It appeared that it was intentionally designed like a honeycomb, to make the arena look even more mesmerizing. After walking into the battle arena, Mo Fan realized he was just in time. It was nearly time for Pearl Institute to fight against Imperial College. He didn't know why, but the second he walked into his team, Mo Fan smelled gunpowder. He felt like this problem could only be solved with PK. What's wrong? Mo Fan asked Zhao Manyan. What else could it be? They were baited to fight. That guy Luo Song was talking with the group of Imperial College kids, and clashed with that guy called Shu Delong. Their flames immediately spread to the groups, Zhao Manyan told him. That's good, then. I like this type of brutality. If they were polite and gentle, that would make us feel too embarrassed to go all out, Mo Fan said devilishly. Me, too. Zhao Manyan didn't deny it, either. The matter between Pearl Institute and Imperial College was something everyone understood. Every single one of those who came here was extremely excited. The two involved parties no longer needed to continue playing nice with each other. Have them immediately fight, and then they could finally see whether Pearl Institute really had the ability to be called the #1 in the country, or the Imperial College lived up to its expectations of being able to get rid of Pearl. What kind of fight are we having? Mo Fan used his elbow to nudge Mu Nujiao, who was wearing a yellow fluffy goose jacket, his eyebrows raised. If it was anyone else, Mu Nujiao would have immediately used a wind disc, tornado to send that person flying. The irreproachable her did not like it when guys casually touched her. However, as they lived together, Mu Nujiao had become more immune to him. She acted like nothing had happened. We send out 4, and they send out 4. Team battle. Without batting an eye, Mu Nujiao withdrew a certain distance from Mo Fan. I like that. Mo Fan rubbed his hands as he made a playfully sinister face. Currently, the number of spells everyone had grasped was not too impressive. If they were to fight by themselves, it would be mostly about their own firepower. Basically, the person with the most practical strength would win the battle, which would be quite monotonous. A team battle would be different. Each element with its own spells and different types of magical equipment. Their cooperation with each other, and the intertwining of different schools would make the differences considerable, and really put a magician's battle prowess and their adaptive skills to the test. Chapter 255 Pearl vs Imperial. Don't be excited. You're not a part of the team being sent out. Zhao Manyan patted Mo Fan's shoulder. Why? Mo Fan was unwilling. Shit, you even have the guts to say that? You only came after we made the name list. Oh, I was lost. Fortunately, the Imperial University was kind enough to agree to a double set of competitions. In the first round, the Pearl Institute began by sending out Shen Xiaoming, Luo Song, Peng Liang, and Zhao Manyan. Shen Mingxiao and Luo Song were two people that refused to accept lesser things. They saw numerous teachers and students from different schools, and also many beautiful girls and goddesses present. If they were able to defeat the Imperial College, then they would definitely become a hot topic instantly. Shen Mingxiao, who had always had the title of a god in Pearl Institute, naturally did not want to miss out on this opportunity. He was taking advantage of Luo Song and Xu Delong's grudges to show off. Luo Song and Xu Delong had a deep grudge against one another. The second the two met, they immediately began to greet the intimate people of their own element. Luo Song naturally did take charge in challenging him. He wanted to beat Xu Delong down. Peng Liang and Zhao Manyan were both listed by Mr. Ji Yuhan. The two of them did not dare to disobey the orders of their teacher. Xu Delong, Liao Mingxuan, Jing Jing, Zhao Mingyue, the four of you can take this turn. Don't let us down, Lu Yiming immediately called out four names. Yes, teacher. The four students of Imperial College walked out. Xu Delong was a stereotypical muscular man. He did not look like a magician at all. He looked more like a personal trainer specialized in tricking women. Liao Mingxuan was very elegant. In terms of temperament, Mo Fan thought that he was the same type as that male bitch, Shen Mingxiao. Just because there were a few girls that would write them love letters and look at them with hearts all over their eyes, they started to think they were just as noble as princes. Jing Jing and Zhao Mingyue were lady magicians. When Mo Fan and Zhao Manyan were standing together, they had already carefully examined the two of them, and decided to name them Girl A and Girl B. A was an A. B was a B. Their looks were very good also, the type you could fall for at first sight. I'll bet a bag of spicy pepper that we'll lose, Mo Fan said to Zhao Manyan. What, can you see the cultivation of the other side? Zhao Manyan raised his eyebrow. No one else might know this, but Zhao Manyan was very clear that in terms of cultivation, Mo Fan should be the highest one around. Those with a higher cultivation were able to deduce the strength of others through the fluctuation of the elements. With Mo Fan talking so big about them losing, this definitely meant that he must have understood something. Mo Fan smiled mysteriously, but did not reply. Mo Fan did not see their cultivation, it was just his happy wish. Shit, if they win, then how could I possibly display my incredible ability to save the world? There were some uniformed people sitting along the two sides, in the colors of Xiamen University and Wading University. They were all rejoicing in other people's misfortunes as they sat there watching the fight. Mo Fan used his intent to roughly sweep past them. He realized that no matter which university or how it was ranked, all of the people that came here for the mock battles had the cultivation of an intermediate magician. Furthermore, most of them appeared to have been at the intermediate level for quite some time. Thinking about it, it did make sense. The great universities' rankings were still rankings. Those who were being dispatched to win honor for a university must be the experts of the experts, and each of them had a huge pool of talent to draw from. Promising youths like Mo Fan must also be quite a few in number. Since he didn't come in the morning, he didn't know just where their strengths lay. Either way, the girls seemed to be quite good. On this side, the Pearl Institute and Imperial College's peak battle was just about to begin. Fair conditions. For this team battle, all magical equipments and tools cannot be used. Use magic to make friends, don't go further than necessary. The rules this time were a good thing for everyone. In the Imperial College, disciples from great families were as common as dogs. It was impossible for them to not have any extraordinary items on them. By eliminating magic equipment and tools, it would force them to rely on their real strength. As the two sides showed they were ready, the judge gave the order. The battle had begun. From the moment it started, the spectators could clearly feel that the people were no longer the same. On Pearl Institute's side, their formation was a bit more messy. Those watching could not tell which one of them was the front, nor who was the one standing behind for support. As for the four people of Imperial College, they most likely had trained together for more than just 2 days. Their cross-shaped formation was instantly completed. Everyone could tell this was a training gap. It was clear that the four people from Pearl Institute were just troublemakers. They realized the Imperial College came very prepared as they quickly moved to their positions. Zhao Manyan was standing at the very back. As an intermediate light magician, he'd be protecting his teammates most of the time. The opposite side's magic casting was extremely fast, especially the girl called Jing Jing. There was a dark green star atlas being quickly condensed beneath her feet. The glowing stars within the star atlas had turned into vines that slowly intertwined with each other as they grew up along the girl's long legs. The magic wrapped around her body. Judging by that vine, it seemed she was an intermediate plant magician. This spell was extremely familiar to Mu Nujiao, who also possessed the plant element. It's an intermediate magic, hurry up and take her down. Shen Mingxiao immediately ordered Luo Song as he assumed the role of commander. Luo Song's face revealed a sly smile. He didn't expend any real effort to ruin that intermediate magician's beautiful star atlas, instead completing a primary earth magic. I'll make you a bit shaky. Let's see how you're going to be completing that intermediate magic. Luo Song slapped his fat hands onto the ground. The originally flat ground suddenly started creasing. These creases began to fluctuate, while at the same time, the surface of the ground started trembling, stretching and retracting quickly. The four people of Imperial College standing in the cross formation immediately began to stumble. Do you really think that you're the only one who knows earth magic? Xu Delong seemed to have prepared for this. Just as the earth ripple's shaking was getting stronger, Xu Delong stomped down with his foot. At that stomp, everyone could see a brown earth ripple suddenly spreading out with Xu in the center. As the ripple spread, it calmed down the shaking surface of the ground in his surroundings. The earth demon that was about to start trouble was no longer daring to be rash. Jing Jing, who was in the middle of brewing her intermediate magic, was still relatively stable. Even though she was about to fall to the ground just now, her magic star path and star atlas were not interrupted. As the green vines began to intertwine higher on her bosom, the intermediate plant magic, Forest of Kun, had finished casting. Forest of Kun, prison. Jing Jing's temperament immediately changed. Her eyes shone toward the four people of Pearl Institute, filled with arrogance. Enjoy being trapped by vines, bushes, demonic branches, and thorns, she shouted. Chapter 256. As expected, they lost. The Forest of Kun was something Mo Fan had experienced once before. Its might was certainly enough to trap a group of people inside. The vines began to grow at extreme speed. The thorns and spikes on the vines were very distinct, and beneath their feet were demonic grasses that kept wiggling about. If you didn't carefully take notice of this strange grass, they would grip your feet, and after that, the extremely tough whip vines would begin to bind your feet together like ropes. The Forest of Kun was growing. Not too long afterwards, it had turned the location where the four people of Pearl Institute were standing into a big shrubbery cage. If the people inside the prison wanted to use magic, they would have to first destroy the dense prison of plant life. However, the people of Imperial College did not have the patience to wait for them to find a way to get out of this. They all watched the girl called Zhao Mingyue, who had finished casting her plant magic, and now strode right to the front. Whoosh! Fierce flames scuttled forth. The scarlet light immediately illuminated the entire arena. The flames emerged from her body and spread into rings of flames. Following her loud shout, all of the fierce flames began to condense on her right hand. What is she doing? Chen Bingxiao asked, feeling a bit confused. It's clear that the Forest of Kun is still activated, if they were to use Fiery Fist in this case. Just as Luo Song was about to explain his thoughts, they could see Zhao Mingyu's hair rising within the heat wave. What appeared to be a soft and silky punch had turned into an extremely severe one beneath the flames. A circle was formed around the Fiery Fist. The further it was shot, the larger the explosive area. When the colossal attack of flames hit the Forest of Kun, the plants in that part of the Forest of Kun began to burn. The flames from Fiery Fist burned very fast, turning the forest of Kun into a sea of flames within mere seconds as it burned violently. Originally, Shen Mingxiao, Luo Song, Peng Liang, and Zhao Manyan were only being restricted by the forest of Kun. That did not have as much of an effect on their combat prowess. With the fiery flames hitting the forest, they were now trapped in a jungle with flames everywhere. The flames were everywhere. To add to it, there were still some plants that had yet to be burned down. If those trapped wanted to escape from the forest of flames, it would be a little difficult. They sure are vicious. Chen Bingxiao finally understood their plan. The fire element was very capable of restraining the plant element. The second the flames touched the plants, they were burned to ashes. The people from Imperial College had used this kind of restraining theory to create a forest of flames. The effect was far more effective than just throwing a fiery fist at one of the students. The Scarlet Jungle had already engulfed Shen Mingxiao and his people. No one knew just what kind of situation was unfolding inside it. The flames burned very quickly. The black ashes still maintained the form of the growing vines, but with a warm updraft blowing lightly, they were immediately peeled off and crumbled. The gigantic forest had been burned down. The flames from the fiery fist gradually calmed down and died out. The crowd of people were discussing this before everyone suddenly realized that in the middle of the mess, there was something looming out. After they looked carefully, it was clear that thing was precisely a stone shell. This stone shell was obdurately covering an entire area. It's the intermediate earth magic, rock block. Chen Bingxiao exclaimed in joy. It seemed like the four of them weren't completely unprepared. Luo Song was the one with intermediate earth ability. When the rock shell defense finally wore off and receded into the earth, Luo Song finally put down the hands that were supporting it. His fat cheeks displayed a bit of exhaustion. He had used the defensive rock block to completely stop the attack of fiery flames. The burning of the prison of Kun was naturally also blocked away. All of this energy expended would naturally affect him. So you actually had some ability when you're showing off every day. Shen Mingxiao had also completed his intermediate magic under the protection of Luo Song. Shen Mingxiao cast his wind magic. In the burned ashes, a frantic wind began to brew. It lifted the ashen grit as it flowed through the arena. The wind grew stronger and stronger. Although the air was invisible, with the dust swept up inside it, you could see the outline of its form. It was the fierce, rotating funnel of a tornado. The tornado was at least 2 meters wide, and began to move toward the people of the Imperial College under the control of Shen Mingxiao. It was violent as it moved toward them, able to shred all of the people in front of it into pieces within its own territory. HMPH, I'll take care of it. On the other side, the white-clothed Liao Mingxuan pursed his lips. The clothes on his body began to float, along with a stream of air that bubbled forth from his feet. They were both masters of wind. Liao Mingxuan wanted to have a battle of winds with Shen Mingxiao. Wind Disk, tornado quickly scuttled forth from his star atlas. Shen Mingxiao's tornado had yet to cross half of the arena when Liao Mingxuan's hand let out a similar tornado. The two tornadoes were moving around them and happened to violently rotate in opposite directions. When the two finally collided, the entire arena suddenly seemed to go silent. You could no longer feel even a little bit of wind. In the next instant, the place where the two tornadoes collided birthed a new sound. It seemed like the two funnels had fused together, and a new cyclone had replaced them. With the location they collided at as the center, it began to spread ferociously in all directions. The driving wind was totally unrestrained. When it howled over, it caught the people from both sides off guard. All of them were blown into the air. Fortunately, the edges of the battle arena had a soft water barrier protecting them, or the cyclone that blew the two sides away would have broken many of their bones. They really are stupid beyond redemption. They have no understanding toward the characteristics of the wind. Beneath the arena, Lu Zhenga HMPHED as he watched Liao Mingxuan's wind in disdain. Lu Yiming also raised his eyebrow. This kind of thing where both sides lost shouldn't happen too often. If they had relied on their strength, they would be able to firmly grasp victory this time. After they got back up, Zheng Mingyue glared fiercely at Liao Mingxuan and said, "Listen to my commands." Liao Mingxuan clutched his waist as he stood up, his face bitter. Fortunately, everyone was at the intermediate level. This type of attack wasn't heavy, and it wasn't severe enough for them to forfeit the battle. Mo Fan, Mu Nujiao, Song Sha, and Zheng Bingxiao, the four of you go prepare. Ji Yu Han watched the battle in the arena as he named the 4 students. The battle on the arena had been going on for a while now. The 4 of them did not betray Mo Fan's expectations. This round was definitely lost. In terms of strength, the 2 sides were on par. They were all very adept in using their 2 elements of magic, however. In terms of teamwork, the 4 people of Pearl Institute were clearly much messier. This issue was identified by Ji Yu Han ages ago. Thus, when he had named 4 more people, including Mo Fan, Ji Yu Han couldn't help but feel a bit more worried. He was worried that they'd lose because of this problem in the next round as well. Mr. Ji Yu Han, don't worry, we will definitely defeat them. Songsha said sincerely. Okay, take care of yourselves.